How's it going, YouTube? Yeah, Pat Mack here, coach of the Sacramento Saints / bringing you a draft analysis for the IBL. I believe this is season 9, maybe? Might be season 9. It's probably season 9. I know it's a lot of seasons. It's definitely season 9. Okay, you would have already known that because it's probably in the title. So, yeah, I've been rambling for a little bit already. It's going to be a bit of a ramble because I'm going to chat about the team for a little while. And talk about what I picked, why I picked it, that kind of stuff. And in the background, you'll be able to see me playing some games using the team. Big shout out to Ted for just recording some random games with me, so that you could kind of see some footage of the team in action, and then as we go. Yeah. Anyway, so first Pokemon. The first thing I picked was Ogerpon, the fire form, so Hearthflame. And honestly, I was just looking for a new toy. That was really it. That was the entire thought process behind grabbing this mon. Obviously, this mon has been banned from OU, so very, very strong singles Pokemon. However, one of the reasons it was banned from OU was because of the option to Terastallize. Unfortunately, can't Terastallize Ogerpon for this league. It just wasn't in the rules as an available option, so is what it is. Still very excited to use the mon. I think it looks like a really cool option. Just like a lot of different options available to it. I learned after drafting it that it's got spikes. It's got like Leech Seed and Synthesis, so it's got like a little bit of like a Stall Breaker or Longevity kind of sets available to it. And then of course you got all the like super strong attacking moves, like Ivy Cudgel being a strong fire type attack, and you know, like Power Whip and stuff like that. So really excited to use this mon. I think it's just got a lot of potential available to it. It's not the type of mon I think I would normally go for on the first round pick either. I tend to look for mons that are a little more flexible. And I think like when I drafted Ogerpon, I was thinking that it was going to be it was just going to be like a really strong, fast physical breaker, you know, and like that's probably how I'll end up using it most of the season. But it is kind of nice to see that it does have some other options. Like it can be a spike setter, it can be like a Leech Seed or Synthesis, like recovery mon. So it can like kind of do a defensive job if I need it to. But honestly, the stat line and all that stuff, it's probably going to be offensive most of the time, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to use. The next pick I ended up going for was Urshifu Rapid Strike, which I think pairs so nicely with Ogerpon. Like, I mean, things do not want to have to try to track against Ogerpon and Urshifu. Probably the like most likely kind of defensive typing that could potentially do well is like Dragon, you know, like then it resists all the like grass, fire, and water attacks, but then of course like we have fighting type attacks to hit those with Urshifu, and then Ogerpon also has like play rough. So I think the two of those mons like pair really nicely together as like a breaking option, and I think they just put a lot of pressure on teams, makes it really difficult for them to try to be able to handle both of these like really fast and physically offensive threats. So really excited to grab these. And of course, like Urshifu being able to grab Swords Dance this gen is like a huge buff for that mon. Like it got so much stronger because of it. And then of course it's still got like the bulk up Drain Punch kind of sets. It's still got, you know, Scarf. It's still got all that other stuff. And then Punching Gloves is a nice addition to Urshifu as well. Honestly, the ability Unseen Fist doesn't really matter that much for singles, and so Punching Gloves turning that ability off in order to give us some extra power, as well as like negate those rocky helmets that are potentially there, is kind of nice as well. Anyway, next mon I grabbed after that was Pheasantipede. Again, new mon syndrome. Like, I don't know, I'm excited to use another new mon, but this one actually had a little bit more reasoning to it. High tier fairy was kind of nice, and then honestly, like looking at the typing, Poison Fairy has such a hard time against steel types. And then look at the two mons that I picked right before it. Like Urshifu crushes steel types, and then Ogerpon with like Ivy Cudgel is going to crush steel types too. So I really liked grabbing Pheasantipede here because I kind of wanted a mon that like didn't do well against steel types, so that I could bait them in and then get in my really strong breakers. So yeah, it was definitely like a pick that I think worked, even though like it's also like, ooh, new toy, let's play with that, you know. So yeah, but Pheasantipede has so many moves. Like I think after I was looking through it, it's like a ton of physical coverage, a ton of special coverage. It's got longevity. Toxic Chain is obviously super cool. Being able to have like, I think it's 30% to be able to toxic mons on like just doing a regular attack is so sweet. Is like really exciting. And actually, I think there's a clip that I don't know when it'll have showed up at this point, but there's a clip where I get like a crit U-turn toxic while I was doing this practice match against Ted, which was just like, man, I really want that to happen a lot during the season, you know what I mean? Like, that would be so sweet. And so it makes it really tough for mons, I think, to be able to handle Pheasantipede. And then just being able to roost, I think, is a really nice option as well. So like, very good defensive stats at 125 SPDF, as well as like pretty good HP and defense as well. So like, I think it'll be a fairly solid like fast wall, while also being able to like be a bit of a stall breaker too with Toxic Chain. So yeah, definitely a really cool mod. Very excited to use it for this season as well. And then I actually dipped pretty low in points for this next pick. I ended up getting Noivern here. And the main reason for grabbing Noivern is that I think it's honestly a misunderstanding of how the rules worked. I thought that when we picked our Pokemon, we had to declare the Terra types at that time. And so this is a low tier Terra League, and so Noivern was like at the very tops of that. And I wanted like a fast mon, because so often I tend to draft like slow teams, and so I was prioritizing a little bit of speed by grabbing Noivern. And then I also just like, Terra Normal Boomburst. Like, Noivern is the king of Terra Normal Boomburst. Toxicity also, but anyway, Terra Normal Boomburst Noivern. So like, pretty excited for that. So I thought I had to declare the Terra Captain right away. I probably would have waited on this pick a little bit, because my next couple of picks I probably would have prioritized a little bit higher if I had, but Noivern gave me another like fast mon. Mostly a special attacker. I was kind of looking for that because I had grabbed like really strong physical options between Ogerpon and Urshifu. Pheasantipede I would consider kind of mixed. It doesn't really have great like offensive stats either way. I think its main shtick, I guess, is that it has Toxic Chain. And so just being able to get as many attacks off as you can with Pheasantipede is kind of the idea. Anyway, so Noivern, yeah, really wanted Frisk as an option. Being able to like figure out items is really nice. Infiltrator's cool too. So like, I don't know, the mon has a lot of really good options. I think it's a really sweet mon to kind of pair along with what I have. And then, yeah, like another mon that if I'm looking for Terra Normal Boomburst, then we need to be able to handle steel types, and like our mons at the front really do that pretty well. Then we also need to be able to handle ghost types too. So that's kind of something that's on my radar as something that I need to look out for coming up pretty soon, so that I can handle that part of the game plan. Next I grabbed Iron Treads, and that was mainly because the pick after Iron Treads, the pick after Iron Treads was one I really wanted, and I'll talk about that one in a second. But I ended up going for Iron Treads because I thought that it was going to get sniped before it made it back to me. And I really wanted the high tier hazard removal, which like honestly being able to grab this at like 5th round is pretty insane already. But just being able to get some high tier hazard removal is really nice. Just like, I don't know, another like good overall mon. It's got like some pivot momentum with Volt Switches, which is really neat. It's got a good amount of coverage. It's got knockoff, which is really nice. So just being able to remove items and figuring that out is pretty cool. And then yeah, like I think it'll just provide a good amount of utility for the team overall. And then just like, I think it pairs kind of nicely with Pheasantipede in terms of like high defense and high special defense, kind of, so the two of those mons kind of work a little bit together just to be able to provide some good defensive options for the squad. But honestly, the main idea was looking for like, I know I need to ground, I know I need to steal, like both those typings were pretty sparse, and so I ended up grabbing this mon at this time. And then Rapid Spin was kind of the other big idea behind it too. So all good things. Like I'm happy with the Iron Treads pick, and I think it's going to be put in a lot of work this season. It's a mon I've used before. Yeah, this isn't the first time I've used Iron Treads, and I like it. I think it's a good mon. You can't really rely on it too much to be like this high power offensive option, just because like there's no setup on it. 112 attack is like solid, but you're not going to be winning games off of 112 attack. Like you need something a little bit more to win and like break through walls. But good mon in general, so excited to have it as well. And the next mon that I really wanted at the Iron Treads pick, and I thought for sure it was gonna be taken. Like I was surprised that this mon was still here, but I grabbed a Hisuian Zoroark. And whew, this mon is so sweet. So ever since I grabbed the Pheasantipity pick a couple turns back, I was really looking for like a Hexmon, because if I'm gonna get Toxic Chain on stuff, like I want to be able to like support that, you know. And so I was looking at Hex on several different Mons and like which one could I really want. And Hisuian Zoroark made it back, which like, oh my god. So now when you look at these 6 Pokemon that I picked, it looks so insane. Like, how are you gonna switch into this team? We've got like high power physical offense with Ogerpon and Urshifu, and then imagine those Mons disguised as Zoroark. Like, what? How are you switching into this, right? You're gonna switch in your Dragon and take like a Spec Shadow Ball or a Spec Hyper Voice and then like get absolutely crushed, and now you can't check the Ogerpon or the Urshifu anymore? Like, I don't know. That sounds dope to me. So yeah, I'm pretty hyped for it. I think it's gonna be a fantastic pick. And I think it's going to be put in a lot of work for this season. And I especially like the Hisuian Zoroark paired along with those like really high power offensive threats, because it just makes it difficult, right? Like, how are your opponent's going to be able to handle that amount of special offense as well as the physical offense, and then also not knowing that they need to bring in their special wall on the Ogerpon that's staring them in the face, you know? So I think it just makes some difficulties for opponents and should be difficult. Well, actually, I should back up. Some of my abilities unfortunately reveal themselves, so like if Ogerpon switches, then I can't really disguise Zoroark as that, because you see Mold Breaker happen, or like I can't really disguise as Noivern if I'm Frisk, because you see Frisk happen. So I got to be a little careful about that. So, but Urshifu, for example, right? If Urshifu comes in, or if Zoroark comes in disguises Urshifu, like then my opponents really don't know. So I think that's gonna be pretty great. So yeah, definitely a really great pick. And then after that, I was just looking for like kind of lower tier, flexible, kind of defensive-ish options. So I grabbed Electros here, and I grabbed Uxie and Umbreon, and I grabbed these 3 Mons kind of at the same time-ish. Like, obviously they happened over 3 rounds, but I decided I wanted these 3 Mons like basically all at the same time. And then it was just a matter of like, what order do I draft them in, so I get the highest amount of likelihood of being able to get them. And I thought these Mons just provided like a good amount of like defensive utility to the team. So Electros just giving us like some levitating, so we don't add to our ground weaknesses. Like obviously Pheasantipity and Iron Treads are ground weaknesses, and both of them are like fairly defensive Mons. And so I wanted to get some defense that had that was immune to ground, right? So I grabbed 2 levitators, Electros and Uxie. I thought were good options there, was the main idea. And then they also just provide more momentum. I get another Rock Setter with Uxie, which is really nice, so I take some pressure off of Iron Treads to always fill that role. And then Uxie's just a Mon that, like, I don't know, I haven't really used very much, and I actually don't really like Uxie very much, like in a general sense. I think like the defense is super high, but offensively, it just doesn't provide much, right? Like 75 attack and 75 special attack. It's just not it. Like, that's super low. And Umbreon actually, like, I'm a little more okay with, because it has Wish, you know, so it's like a little bit more supportive for the team. So it works a little bit better as a wall. Plus like Foul Play for Umbreon, which technically Uxie has Foul Play too. I don't know. I'm more okay with Umbreon. I like Umbreon more than I like Uxie, but I still wanted the levitating, like I still wanted the ground immunity. And yeah, ultimately decided on Uxie for the team. And then Umbreon, like I just mentioned, more defensive utility. Being able to Witch Pass into some stuff is going to be really nice. Umbreon having some setup options is kind of cool too. Like you'll see in the clip that I'm using, it has a Calm Mind, which is nice. You know, it's like, it's got a little bit of like low tier sweeping potential off that base 60 special attack. That's right, hitting super hard. You got to be scared of Umbreon. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you don't have to be scared of Umbreon. It is what it is. Anyway, so really excited to use them on. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And then the last 2 picks, the Knuckle Stack and the Cryogonal, I honestly just grabbed them because I had some extra points left over. You know, like, I don't think I was necessarily like, oh man, these are like really going to fill a hole that my team needs. Like, nah, I just want people to have to prepare for Salt Cure, you know? Like you got to make sure you have a Covert Cloak on something so you can handle this one. Otherwise, it might get out of control, you know? Like, that's kind of it. And then Cryogonal gives me another spinner, some more speed. Freeze Dry is kind of cool. So yeah, that was kind of the idea there. Another Levitator is kind of neat too, so like that part's nice as well. I do think that it was kind of nice to grab so many levitators and flying mons when my grass type is not resistant to ground moves. So that's something that was like very much on my radar for the draft, just because so often ground is like a really tough typing to be able to switch into, and now we have so many different mons that can switch into that type fairly well. So definitely something that I'm very happy about with the team. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to use. I think the team has like some good options. There's some good bulk. There's some good like damage threats. And yeah, I don't know. I think type-wise they work well together. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. Let me know what you think about the team down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the draft video where you got to see some of the mons in action a little bit while the game was going on, then definitely let me know that as well. If it's something that you think I should continue, I'd love to know. And yeah, definitely like, subscribe, and all that stuff if you want to see our videos throughout the season. And that's it. I'll catch you on the next one.